Last year here to defend their title, and they are Steve Redgrave and Matthew Pinsent from Great Britain, not only the world but also of course the Olympic champions. Matthew sitting there in front of Steve, and they're really going to take all the beating because no one has so far this season. They're the Canadians, Phil Graham and Darren Barber. They were third in Lucerne behind Steve Redgrave, and here were the two men, Peter Holzenbein in the bow, Torsten Streppelhoff at stroke, who were second in Lucerne. But these two, they've been very serious about business all season.
Set, go!
Oh, very slow off. Redgrave and Pinsent very slow off. Last away.
And the Australians, I have to say, were very, very quick in lane one.
Yes, they got a real flyer. Redgrave and Pinsent have been unbeaten since 1991, but they were nearly caught in Lucerne by the German pair in Lucerne 2 months ago. They only just got by them at the very end. But here we have a chance to see how quick the Australians on the far side got away and how slowly the reigning world and Olympic champions got away.
About the Australian boat, Robert Walker, Richard Wynne from Sydney, but already the Germans making their mark.
Making their mark indeed. They have flown off the start. They have got a 3/4 of a length lead over those early leaders from Australia. Canada, who were third in Lucerne, are actually just in second place. But it's these two men from Germany who, just like in Lucerne, took a flyer, and it's the world champions, Redgrave and Pinsent, who are lying fourth now in lane 3.
Lane 5, it's the Croatian partnership of Marko Banovic and Ninoslav Saraga. They were fourth in Lucerne, and completing the lineup closest to you, Belgium, Jak van Driessen and Luc Goris, two pretty experienced men. They were actually fifth in Lucerne behind Pinsent and Redgrave. But those two are well behind, as are just about everyone, Dan. These two, Streppelhoff and Holzenbein, who lead through the first 500 ahead of Canada.
Well, Streppelhoff and Holzenbein were the key men in the German 8 for the last 2 or 3 years, who've won gold medals. They were also the stern pair of the Cambridge 8 that won the boat race against Oxford earlier in the year. And they now have a commanding lead, just as they did in Lucerne, over the world champions. Canada, Phil Graham, Darren Barber, who went so well in Lucerne as well. But here are the reigning world champions. Redgrave in the bow, who has 7 gold medals, Olympic and world titles to his credit, being led by a length and a half by the men from Germany.
Past the hospitality enclosures as we come towards the halfway point in the race. And it's Germany 1:29.42, their time for the first quarter, and they're still traveling faster than anyone else in this second quarter of the race. Peter Holzenbein from Munster, 23 years of age. Torsten Streppelhoff, 25, from Dorsten. And really talented oarsmen who've won so much. But this is one medal that they would really treasure if they could set off, take advantage of the tailwind and hold it to the finish line. But that's a big question. They've set themselves an enormous task.
They are very accurate athletes, very, very horizontal in the way that they drive off the stretcher. But the power of the two British oarsmen is extraordinary. And here now they're just moving into third place at the halfway mark.
1:35.68 the time for Germany in that second quarter, and the British, Dan, have just gone into second place, not really allowing the Germans to get any further ahead than they are, but these two men still working well.
Well, they know very well what happened in Lucerne. They had a similar lead in Lucerne 2 months ago, and they were just eaten alive by the British pair who caught them on the line. They had to go to a world record, the British pair, to beat them. They broke their own world record by 3 seconds, and they broke the record too. The German pair broke the record as well. And right in the thick of that race were these two men from Canada.
Indeed, Phil Graham sitting there in the bow. He comes from Newfoundland in the east of Canada, and his partner, Darren Barber, all the way over from the west in Victoria, British Columbia.
Well, for Peter Holzenbein and Torsten Streppelhoff, they know that in these tailwind conditions with their fast rating start, this is the time that they're going to be able to beat the British if they possibly can. But the power of the British pair is extraordinary, and this is where it's going to count.
coming towards the end of the third quarter, and the Germans have still got clear water over the British, who are just beginning to wind it up just a little bit more on the far side in lane one. Australia are still going extremely well. Then in fourth place it's Canada, and still trailing Croatia and Belgium. But here are Redgrave and Pinson in full flight.
And look at the power there, look at the quickness of the legs. There's very, very little now that Germany can do. They've done everything they possibly can in that first 1,000 metres. Now they've got to hang on, and do they have the legs to hang on? They've got to hold their form in this difficult water. The water's choppy, it's caught by the wind, but it's the power of the British pair that is eating them up now. It's half a length, but can they hold on? Can Germany hold on in this last 250 metres?
It's true, Dan, that the two British athletes would have much preferred headwind conditions. The tougher it is, the better they like it. They haven't got that, so they're really having to do this the hard way.
And they're up now to 41 strokes a minute. It's a canvas, and there's nothing now that the Germans can do to hold them off. They know it happened last time in Lucerne. They can see it happening again, and they're going to have to settle for silver, because nothing is going to stop the world champions from repeating this extraordinary. They're up to 44 now, 45, and they're taking more and more with every stroke as they come past the grandstand. It's half a length now, and Germany have broken. There's nothing they can do. They've got to hold off Australia, but it's Redgrave and Pinson who are going to come in 3/4 of a length ahead and moving away with every stroke as they come up to the line.
The two British athletes come through with an amazing burst. It hasn't been easy, but they've done it to take for Steve Redgrave his 8th major world gold medal. And once again, the families and friends who've travelled across the Atlantic to witness these golden moments, well, they've been rewarded, as have these two men in the boat.
And they've gone very fast to do it as well. They're just outside the world record that they set in Lucerne, and they remain absolutely dominant in pair rowing.
Well, it was a hard-fought victory, pretty decisive at the end. The margin very clear over Germany, but look at the Australians just beneath you in lane one. Two young men and a brilliant bronze medal. So Steve Redgrave and Matthew Pinsent. The story rolls on for Holzenbein and Streppelhoff. I wonder what they do now.
Just another chance there to see this remarkable duo at full stretch. Tremendous power through the middle of the stroke.
And the champions now unbeaten for 4 years.
Yeah, I think it's been a good season. We've had ups and downs. We've had two very close races, but they were very fast as well. I can't remember what our time here was. I think it's fractionally slower than the world record. So this year we turned in our two fastest performances ever. So we've got to be happy, and we've won the World Championship, so makes it 4 in a row.
Indeed, Steve, 4 in a row. Rejoice in this moment, but I have to ask the question, where from here?
Well, there's another World Championships next year, and then the big one in Atlanta, and then no more.
Matthew?
5 in a row and then 6 in a row, and then we'll see, probably 7, 8, 9, 10, etc., etc., I hope. But no, we're concentrating on the 6th one so far.